What's going on, guys? It's GBP, baby. Welcome back to another weekly review. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So we're going to start on the weekly. Happy December, everybody. Christmas is approaching fast, and last year, if you were around then, I did do a whole month of December just with back testing. I do want to do something similar so that I have some time off, but also have content going out. So I'm going to start working on that. So keep tuned for that. But yeah, let's get straight into things. So you can see on dollar how crazy price has been. We've traded aggressively higher for the past like 8 or 9 weeks until we eventually traded up into these relative equal highs above here. And then also, have we touched this high yet? We just about tagged that high. I'm not convinced that we're done up here, as in I do think eventually we are going to come back and try and fill that. But because this is a weekly, I'm not really going to be too focused on that aspect of things right now anyway. But generally speaking, let's start looking at where we are and where price could be drawing down towards on the weekly. So our current trading range, generally speaking, I'm looking between this low and this high, and I'm looking at this low just because of how its ran stops here and here. But if we look at the entire range, that is still the midpoint anyway. So this is where discount and premium becomes important, and I'll just use this to show that example. So this is all discount. All of this will be discount PD arrays, and all of these will be premium PD arrays. And generally what I'll do is I'll mark out all the discount PD arrays that price could be potentially trading down into. However, because I don't believe we're finished above this high, I don't think that price is going to need to come into this discount for now. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to move this to the 50% level, which is about here. Look for the last significant low, which is here. I just seem to be making up as I go along at this point. But nonetheless, I'm still going to look at the discount PD arrays, and right here we have a beautiful fair value gap. So that means moving into the new week, I am going to see if price can start to push its way down into there. So let's get that marked out. Make that red, and let's call that a weekly fair value gap in the discount. I also want to pay attention to this long wick. The fact that we closed below it is saying to me that this wick should provide resistance. So when if we're expecting a down close week, that means we want to see price rally and then drop lower. So any kind of rallying we see, if it manages to trade into this down wick, I want to see it find resistance at that wick to then help it send price lower. So let's get that wick marked out as well. I'm going to make it black because I don't want to, and then we don't want to see price trade through it. So let's put a midpoint there, and that'll be the very highest that I want to see price trade moving into the new week. Ideally not even that 50% level. Ideally, if it is going to wick into there at all, as in if we are going to rally into that at all, it will be the 25% level that I'm paying close attention to. So let's get that delineated as well. Extend that like so, and we'll make that dashed, and we'll make that thin as well. So now we have 2 levels on here that we can pay attention to, and then let's go to the daily and see what we can find. So you can see again, price last week wasn't ideal with all this gapping going on, but this gapping is showing us a strong level of resistance. So there is a fair value gap here and a bullish order block. So on a daily level, and you can see that order block just happens to be lined up with our weekly fair value gap. If we're still bullish on the higher time frame, price should be able to trade into this bullish order block and find support for it to trade higher. So in terms of targeting, although I want to see us get to the fair value gap, it'll be this bullish order block first, which I'd want to trade to. So moving into the new week, this is where I'm expecting price to be drawing down into, this daily bullish order block. And you can see it's also complemented with a fair value gap, which is pretty much a perfect ICT setup in terms of going long, as in when price trades into here. If we're bullish, we should expect price to be able to turn around within it and then trade on higher into these highs. Now do mind, we do have very high impact news this week with non-farm payroll as well, as we're entering the month of December, and generally speaking, Decembers do tend to be very fickle, so trading conditions right now are not ideal. But let me take a look at what high impact news we have. So let me see, where are we? Next week, this week, yeah, we got unemployment rate and non-farm payroll on Friday. We have jobless claims on Thursday. We have all sorts going on Wednesday, including the Fed chair speech. We got high impact news on Tuesday, so I'm expecting quite a big week in general, and I'm not expecting it to deliver clean either. So I definitely let Monday trade, let Monday do its thing, but I am looking for price to draw down into here. If we find that price is rushing and it runs fast down into these discount levels, then when it gets to Friday, I'd expect a reversal and for us to trade out of it. Now I will speak more on that as we get through the week. But generally speaking, like I said, if price starts moving very fast straight off of Monday, then I'd expect us to reverse later on in the week. In fact, I do need to mind you that I won't be posting on Tuesday night because I'm not in the city, but do join the Discord and I'm happy to share potential analysis there. But yeah, so it's going to be a bit difficult this week, and again, as we enter December, I don't usually trade Decembers anyway, and I don't suggest you guys do either. It's more good for just analysis and watching price, but at least we have a draw here. We have the highest. This is the very highest I expect price to trade, but looking at how bearish we are, I wouldn't be surprised that straight off the start of the day, like as soon as we enter Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw price running quickly to try and fill this fair value gap and into that bullish order block, which I'm talking about here. So let's go to the 4 hour. This is the lowest time frame I'm going to trade to, and you can see our price is looking like it's in the middle of delivery to the downside. You can see classic redistribution here. So where we have a bullish order block on the buy side of the curve, which is right here, if we drag that right through, look at how price is acting around it. We gapped below it, below the 50% level as well, and look how price is treating it. Again, I doubt price is going to refuse to trade back above there, which is why I'd expect price to start running as soon as Monday opens and running deep into this discount. Also, it's very typical for the weeks with non-farm payroll for Mondays to be quite expansive, so we do need to be very wary of that. But moving into Monday, I don't think price is even going to get up there. I can imagine it'll probably rally very slightly and then just start running, fill that fair value gap, get into this bullish order block, and they'll probably mess around a bit. So that's everything I'm expecting on dollar. I hope that will make sense. But generally speaking, I'd only have these PD arrays marked out. If you want to be trading these conditions, I'd watch this rejection block level right here, because if this 50% level remains respected, then it's likely we'll be able to look for shorts on dollar with the expectation to trade into our bullish order block as planned. Because like I said, that might be a nice setup to look for, but like I said, these kind of conditions aren't ideal. So that's going to be everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. Let's now head on to GBP USD, and we'll start here on the weekly as well. And if you were watching me last week, you'll know that towards the end of the week, price wasn't exactly too complimentary of my analysis, but nonetheless, you can see our price has pushed on higher, ran out this high, and it's looking like we're going to try and fill this fair value gap now. I do think eventually price may want to get up into here, this down close candle right here, this range above here, rejection block level even. I do think price is going to want to get up to there eventually, but first it needs to fill this fair value gap. So we can use that as our initial we can use the high of the fair value gap as our initial target for price. Let's go, and then also same as what I did on dollar, I'm looking at this down close wick, because price shouldn't need to drop any lower than the 50% level of that if we're going to be remaining bullish to trade on higher. But like I said, if it rushes and we try to get into a premium fast, then it's likely we'll get a large reversal towards Thursday and maybe even Friday when price pulls back on itself. So that's just something to consider. Let's get that marked out. Same thing, 25% level ideally, because the 25% level is more sensitive than the 50% level. And what do I mean by that? It means that it doesn't mean that you should trade off the 25% level. What I'm saying is that when price reacts off the 25% levels, it tends to be a lot more large or expansive in whichever direction it's reacting off. So I hope that makes sense. A little bit confusing. And let's go to the daily and take a close look. So look at this kind of price action right here, very classic. We got a breaker here, which happens to line up with that 25% level, low, high, lower, low, displacement to the upside, as you can see. So it'll be nice to see if we can wick down into that. That could potentially set us up. And where's our target? It'll simply be this fair value gap on the daily. And remember, this was the top of the weekly fair value gap. And even to complement that further, we have a fair value gap here, which lines up with this bearish order block on a daily. So this is a beautiful target for price on pound to trade up into. So as soon as price drops below that midnight opening candle, that might be a time for a nice setup to go long with, and then let off our positions once we reach that target up there. Ideally, all trading is done by Wednesday. So this is what I mean. This is what I mean when I say it's likely we might end up rushing. ICT suggests that trading should be done by Wednesday when we have non-farm payroll weeks. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if price just opened, dropped, created that discount, and then we start seeing price run to try and fill this premium imbalance and trade into this weekly and daily PD array that we have just delineated up here. But if it gets any lower than that 20, if it starts digging into that 50% level, I don't want to touch price. Simple as that. Let's go to the 4 hour, and you can see a nice bullish order block where a 25% level, can't make that stuff up. So even more reason as to why any kind of discount that price offers into that range, I'd want to be looking for long setups, stop loss below here, and then I'd want to be targeting this. This would be where I take off most of my position, and then I'd take off the rest of my position if we reach there. If price reverses at this point, then my stop loss would have been moved, so I would be closing in profit anyway. But we can talk more on that in the future. But generally speaking, I'm expecting price to be able to run up there in line with dollar, ideally finding resistance here and then pushing down into that weekly fair value gap. To be honest, it's looking a bit too clean to be true. Obviously easier said than done, but again, I've seen these things happen too many times for it to go completely wild. It's usually, like I said, it's usually when it gets to Wednesday or Thursday that my analysis will go a bit off, and then it'll come to non-farm payroll and it's just not even worth trading usually. So we're going to finish up on Euro USD, and you'll see how Euro's moved a little bit slower than pound. We haven't quite traded that fair value gap yet, but if we do the same thing that I was doing on dollar, as in looking at the trading range, we're looking for premium PD arrays. Yes, this fair value gap is in between, but this is a nicer premium fair value gap, right, because it's above the 50% level and it's coupled with this bearish order block. So similarly, I want to see can price start to push up into here. And then what is it? Well, since we can't do the same thing that we did with the wicks, since we're currently trading inside the wick, I think it's either best that we drop down to a lower time frame, or we can look at this range as a whole as to where price may want to respect. Let's go to the daily and see what we can find. There's a nice bearish order block there, but we're still trading inside it. What I do believe we're going to see this week is Euro having to catch up. So you'll see we have a bearish order block lined up with our weekly fair value gap on the daily. More reason as to why I want to see price move up there. But because Euro is the one that's moving so slowly, this is why I think Euro's going to need like a little kick up the bum. Euro's going to need a kick up the bum to push it higher. What we can take a look at is a reclaimed bullish order block. Here he comes with some more crazy language. I know, but like, we can look at this. And if price stays above there, in fact, what I'm going to do, let me just quickly check something. Okay. So this is a bullish order block, right? This is one as well, but we haven't traded through it. But this one we have. So if I look at the open of this might act as a reclaimed bullish order block. It's a bearish order block, but we might be able to use it as a bullish order block. So I'm going to pay attention to this level as we move into Monday and the early hours of the new week, and ideally price will stay within this range if we are to be trading on higher, in fact. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, price shouldn't need to drop down below here tomorrow if we're going to be trading higher. Price should be able to respect this range, and then we should be able to see expansion where we've got a daily fair value gap for initial targets, and then if price is looking bullish enough, we can hold on to some of our position, and I say some of our position, and allow price to rally into the bearish order block, where I'd then either A, look for shorts, or B, just stop trading for the week. Simple as. Let's go to the 4 hour. And yeah, that still holds. We've got this nice long wick right here. Remember, wicks are gaps too. They should act bullishly as far as I'm concerned. So again, price shouldn't have to disrespect it. It can do it. I'm not saying it can't, but as far as I'm concerned, if it's bullish, it's like I'm going to price and saying prove yourself. Oh, price has just opened. Look at that. It's like I'm going to price and just saying prove yourself. Like if you're bad, do it. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're really bullish, you won't need to come any lower than here. You will be able to run into these highs, and into our premium PD arrays, which I've already delineated for us. But again, easier said than done. And you can see how this wick is actually respecting this bullish order block. So that's another reason I'm looking at these things, because it's continuously respecting bullish PD arrays. Look at this. Look how that wick traded right down into the 50% level of this bullish order block. You can't make that stuff up. Because as soon as that gets violated, then it's like, okay, you must be bearish, and then we know we can go short and we can start looking at these lows. But as far as I'm concerned, we should be able to see continued rallying, assuming that dollar wants to do as we anticipate, in terms of being able to work its way down into this weekly fair value gap and daily bullish order block. So yeah, that's going to be everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join the Discord. I'm sure a lot of you are watching Bitcoin right now as well. If this is something you'd be interested in, do drop a comment below. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.